So it's just you and one friend out on the open seas, and you want to experience everything Sea of Thieves has to offer. So you set sail to do a skeleton ship fight, but time and time again you sink. No alliance will add you, and every time you try to join them, they either sink you or betray you. Fret not, pirates, I have a few simple tips and tricks to help you and your friend do a skeleton ship fight. Before we start, I'm going to use two terms in this video to make things a little easier to understand. Term 1 is the pilot. This is going to be the player who's staying on the ship the entire fight. Their main focus will be firing cannons and repairing the ship. And then the jumper. This player will be boarding the skeleton ships the entire fight. He'll be guarding the holes he makes and detonating powder keg barrels. Now, with that out the way, let's get into it. First, we need to know more about the ships. It's the last week to fight them, so on screen now is a chart containing all the information on the skeleton ships. Where they spawn, what time they spawn, both in-game and Eastern Standard Time, and the effects they have on your crew. This will be important for strategizing your attack later. For instance, the Sandman Revenge will make boarding the enemy a little harder than the Siren's Gale, so you have to plan ahead. Okay, you got the information needed to fight them and the strategy set. Where do you start? Since you're going at this alone, you're going to need supplies, and I mean a lot of supplies. I'm talking full everything. 220 cannonballs, 110 bananas, and 110 planks. The best way I found to gather these supplies is going to abandoned forts, barrels in the ocean, and surprisingly shipwrecks. Shipwrecks can usually yield half a supply per one shipwreck, plus loot, so they're very good to go to. Now, you might think that cannons are going to be your main form of attacking, and to that I say, you only got one cannon on each side of SLOOP, not really a Galleon Slayer. To fix this underwhelming firepower, we're going to be using gunpowder barrels as our main form of attack. That's where the jumper comes in, and I mean we're going to need a lot of gunpowder barrels, basically 1 to 2 per skeleton ship. Okay, you have all your supplies and are armed to the teeth with gunpowder barrels. Once the fight starts, focus on ramming the first ship you see. It'll spawn either on the left or right. If there are 2 ships that spawn at the same time, focus one down. After ramming the ship, have your jumper jump on the ship with an explosive barrel and light the match right where I do in the video. This will cause 4 holes that are easy to see and defend. Usually when I ignite the barrel, I run to the banana crate and munch away just to keep my HP full. The job of the pilot is now to get clear of that blast so it doesn't affect your ship, and to then hug the skeleton ship like it's your long lost lover. This will make it so that the skeleton ships won't fire at you, and it'll also allow your pilot to then start throwing water onto the ship, causing damage. And your teammate has easy access back onto the ship in the event that something happens. For instance, a second ship, Cursed Cannonball, hits your pilot and they can't bail because they're asleep. The pilot's job will also be to make sure there's no major damage to the ship, keep it afloat, and during the fight, they'll focus on moving the ship to always stay close to the skeletons. Water is much your enemy as it is for those skeletons, so use it as such. The safest way to use water is just to throw it on the skeleton ships when you bail and they're close enough. This is a more reactionary response to water, and while it works, it doesn't use water's full potential. Having the jumper keep a bucket of water on them before they hop on the skeleton ships is really important. The video in the background is me demonstrating that this tiny bit of water can raise the levels up just enough to have the second floor start flooding. The holes in the second floor are now pouring in water after I dump that bucket in. The final water strat is a bit of a tricky one. It's having one hole open at all times. This is giving you a continuous flow of water, but it's a double-edged sword, since without proper attention, the water can fill up your sloop without you realizing it. You might be asking yourself, why would I have a hole on all the time when the skeletons are just going to shoot a hole in me? And I have to say that is that if you get pressed up against that ship, the skeleton ship, without water, your pilot is now worthless. They are basically just steering the ship and they're not causing any damage. With this water continuously flowing in, your pilot is able to pour water, causing even more damage to those skeleton ships. This seems fairly obvious, so I'm only going to highlight some of the more important topics. The jumper needs to make sure that the sloop is okay before he leaves. If there's too many holes, your teammate won't be able to keep the ship afloat. So before the jumper leaves, just make sure, and if it's not safe, just ram the ship as normal, but don't leave. Because that ram still does damage, and so you're still getting water into them while keeping yourself afloat, and that's the most important thing. Next is the jumper needs to make sure that the sloop is out of the blast radius of a gunpowder barrel. Because if you are caught in that, you can sustain heavy damage and instantly sink. Finally, steering the sloop and ramming those skeleton ships is essential and needs teamwork. You need to be able to move the sails, bring them up, and steer the ship, both you together, and then timing it so that you get that gunpowder barrel just as you ram. Talk about all 3 of these things and you'll be fine. In summary, you need to designate who is the pilot and who is the jumper. Gathering supplies until everything is full, getting enough gunpowder barrels to put Hiroshima to shame, focus on ramming ships and using gunpowder barrels. Use water to its full potential, and understand the importance of communication. I hope this helps you defeat arguably the best encounter in Sea of Thieves at this moment. Leave your own tips and tricks in the comments below if I forgot some, and thanks for watching.